All right, so 1 through 6, we just have to describe the transformation and graph it. So what does this plus 3 do to our graph? Up 3, awesome. So it goes up 3. So 1, 2, 3. Then we draw our U there. So this one was 15. Let's look at 16. What does this minus 2 on the inside do? Right 2. So instead of starting at 0, we're just going to move it to the right 2, and that would be our vertex, and we draw the U there. All right, now 17. What does minus 6 on the outside do? Down 6. So we're just going to shift our parabola down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be our vertex, and then we just draw the parabola right there. Any questions so far? Nicole, what does this plus 3 on the inside do? So we're going to go left 3. So instead of starting at 0, we go to the left 3, and we would draw our parabola there. All right, next, 19. Leah, what does this minus 9 do? Minus 9 on the outside. Down 9. So we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thank you. And then we just draw our parabola there. All right, and last one, number 20. Lucas, what does this plus 5 do?
Goes left 5.
Awesome. Left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so just as a reminder, our vertex form is y is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. So the a, if it's positive, it opens up. If it's negative, it opens down. And then our vertex is h comma k. And what do we have to remember to do to h? Change the sign. We always change the sign of h. All right, so looking at 29, what would the vertex be? Awesome. 1, 2. So we change the sign of h to make it a positive 1. So it's what you're adding inside, what you're adding outside. 1, 2. What's our axis of symmetry? Awesome. X equals 1. It always repeats the first number there. Does my graph open up or open down? Bless you. It opens up because it doesn't have a negative out front. So it opens up. So is my vertex at the highest point or lowest point?
Lowest.
It's at the lowest point. So do I have a maximum or minimum? I have a minimum because my vertex is at the lowest point. All right, and what's my minimum value? 2. Always comes from the k. So my minimum is 2. What's my domain? All real numbers. So I can put the R with 2 bars, or you can say all real numbers. And then what would my range be? Does it go up to infinity or down to negative infinity? Up to infinity. So remember, you start with the largest, or start with the smallest number and end with the largest. So infinity, is that going to be the smallest or the largest? The largest. And then what does it start with? 2. Because you always repeat the k. Your range has the k in it. So the number gets the bracket, the infinity gets just the parenthesis. Infinity always just gets the parenthesis. And then we can graph it. So I'm going to graph what first? the vertex. So I'm going to go the right one, up 2. And my axis of symmetry goes right through it. And how can I find another point on my graph? Do what? I can plug in number, plug in 0. So I want to plug in something close to the axis of symmetry. So my axis of symmetry is 1. So Tessa says I should plug in 0. It's perfect. So I'm going to plug in 0 for what? For x or y? For x. So I have 0 minus 1 squared plus 2. Have to follow PEMDAS. So what do I need to do first? Parentheses. So 0 minus 1 is -1. Then what should I do next? Exponent. What's -1 squared? +1. And then what's 1 plus 2? 3. So I plugged in 0 and got 3. So this is another point on my graph. So I'm going to stay at 0, go up 3. You need 3 points for your parabola. So do I have another point? What is it? So I'm 1 space away from my axis of symmetry on the left, so I'm going to need the same point 1 space away on the right. And then just draw your parabola. So 31. First, let's identify our vertex. What would my vertex be here? 2, 5. Awesome. 2, 5. It's what we're adding inside and what we're adding outside. What is my axis of symmetry? Just 2? X equals 2. It's always the x value in your parentheses here. Does my graph open up or open down? It opens up. How do we know that it opens up? Because there's no negative here. It's just a 2 being multiplied. So it's positive, it opens up. Yes. So is my vertex at the highest point or lowest point? Lowest. So do I have a max or min? A minimum. And what's my minimum value? 5. What is my domain? All real numbers. You can do the R with the 2 bars or ARN. All real numbers. Or you could say all real numbers. And then my range. Does my range... Awesome. It goes up to infinity, so it'll be 5, infinity. 5 gets a bracket, the infinity gets the parentheses. Remember, you start with the smallest, then go to the largest. So now let's graph this. What should I graph first? My vertex, so I'm going to go to the right 2, up 5. My axis of symmetry goes right down the middle. And then, how can I find another point? Plug in 1, you said? Perfect. I want to plug in something close to my axis of symmetry, and my axis of symmetry is 2, so 1 would be great. So I'm going to plug in 1 into my x in my equation here. So I have 2 times 1 minus 2 squared plus 5. Don't forget our order of operations, PEMDAS. So what do I have to do first? Parentheses. What's 1 minus 2? -1. What do I do next? Exponent. So what's -1 squared? 1. So 2 times 1 plus 5. What do I do next? Multiply. 2 times 1 would be 2. And then what's 2 plus 5? 7. So I plugged in 1 and got 7. So I'm going to go to the right 1 and up 7. So there's another point on my graph. Where would my third point be? Awesome. To the right, 3, up 7. Since I'm one space away on the left side of my axis of symmetry, I need to be one space away on my right side too. And then I draw the parabola. Remember, it's what we're adding inside and what we're adding outside, so it's 2 numbers. Nicole, want to help her out? What do we have to do to the h? Change the sign. So it would be positive 1, comma 4. And then what's my axis of symmetry? Katie? Just 1? X equals 1. Does my graph open up or open down here? It opens down. How did we know that it opens down? Because there's a negative. So that negative tells us it opens down. So is my vertex at the maximum or at the minimum? Maximum. So I'm going to cross out minimum. What is my maximum value? 4. It's always your k. 4. What's my domain? All real numbers. And then what's my range? Do I go up to positive infinity or down to negative infinity? Down to negative infinity. So what's the smallest number here? Negative infinity, because that's the smallest possible number we have. And then what's the biggest number here? 4. So remember, you always start with the smallest and end with the largest. Negative infinity is super duper small. And then the infinity gets a parentheses, the number gets a bracket. All right, now we can graph. What should I graph first? 1, comma 4. So I'm going to go to the right 1 and up 4. And my axis of symmetry goes right through it. And then what else do I need? Another point. So I can plug in 0 here. I want to plug in something close to my axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry is 1, so 0 is close to that. So I'm going to plug in 0 into what? Into x. Plugging it in here. So I have negative 0 minus 1 squared plus 4. So I have to do my order of operations. What do I need to do first? Parentheses. What's 0 minus 1? Negative 1. What do I do next? Exponent. What's negative 1 squared? 1. But I still have that negative outside, so it's negative 1. And then what's negative 1 plus 4? 3. So I plugged in 0 and got 3. So I'm going to stay at 0 and go up 3. Do I know where another point's going to be? On the other side. And then I can just draw my parabola. So I'm going to do an extra problem down here. So let's say I had y is equal to negative 2 times x plus 4 squared minus 3. So practicing the range. So if your graph, just as a general rule, if your graph opens up, your range starts at k, whatever your k is, and goes to infinity. If your graph opens down, it goes down to negative infinity and ends at k. So here, does my graph open up or open down? Down, because it has a negative out front. So that negative means that it opens down. So my range is going to look like this one. It's going to start at negative infinity and end at k. What's my k here? Negative 3. Let's do another one. So if I had y equals 4 times x plus 5 squared plus 1. Does my graph here open up or open down? It opens up because that 4 is positive. So it's being multiplied by a positive number, so it opens up. So my range is gonna look like this one now. So what's my k? 1. And then it's going up to infinity, so it ends at infinity. Does that make a little bit more sense? So it always follows like this. It'll be one or the other. So if it opens up, it's from k to infinity. If it opens down, it's from negative infinity to k. So it always starts with the smallest number and ends with the largest.